Could you just introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Felicity Cunliffe-Lister.
And you're the Liberal Democrat candidate to be the Mayor of York and North Yorkshire. Just give a little bit on your background. I know we're in the very lovely, on the Swinton Estate at the moment. What is the Swinton Estate?
So the Swinton Estate is a rural business that has a really strong leisure offering as well. So we're sitting in Swinton Park at the moment. That's where the business really started for me. We opened Swinton Park as a hotel in the year 2001. And since then, over the last 24 years, we've kind of expanded and diversified along the way. So we now have a cookery school and a spa, a second restaurant, a campsite, holiday cottages. So the leisure portfolio has grown and grown. We also offer lots of activities like fishing and clay pigeon shooting and falconry. And then running alongside that, we also have the rural side of the estate. So agriculture, forestry and conservation, also what we do.
And you've also moved into local politics, I think, haven't you? You're a North Yorkshire councillor. What drew you into wanting to go into politics?
So I've always been politically aware. I've always felt very engaged with what politics is and isn't delivering. It really matters to me that it does deliver what it should. And I had got to a point where I'd been running my business for 24 years and I was just feeling like I was at the stage where I really had some experience there and some business skills that could really make a difference, and I really felt like I wanted to contribute something and put something back into the community. In
North Yorkshire, we have a mayor coming in that will head a combined authority. So it's far from a ceremonial role. It's a position that carries significant influence and a significant budget to spend across the county. Why have you decided to, if you like, step up your political career and go for that role?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's way more than a ceremonial role, and it's really, really important that the right person is elected because it's a great opportunity. This role could deliver really significant positive change. So the reason for me deciding, and I did give it a lot of thought, is that you need somebody with the right skill set to deliver this. It's not enough just to rely on party politics at this point. It's about the person, their life experience and their skill set.
And when you look at the role then and the responsibilities, it's quite a diverse range. At the core of it is devolution and levelling up. But there's also large areas of taking over things like the role of the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner. Are there particular bits on that you are focusing on or looking at? I know you've spent some time developing do you call it like a strategy or a focus for what you want to do?
Yeah. Well, I have my vision for the economy and my vision for the residents of the region. And you're right, I've got my 7 key deliverables. So when I've set out what I want to achieve, and then I've set out my 7 key deliverables that form the basis on the way in which I'm going to deliver that. And those relate to the economy, they relate to the environment, and they relate to the community across the board. Okay.
To part of it's a very complicated role, and I think it's very difficult during campaigning to talk about things like what would you do with policing, what would you do with fire, because until you're in post, I think it's really difficult to get a full grasp of a lot of aspects of the role. Yeah. But I know you've set out a vision, haven't you, for particular areas. Yeah. Could you just run through that vision?
Yeah. So I've set out a vision, and my vision is split between the economy and the people who live here. In terms of the economy, what I want to see is for it to be a thriving hub for investment, research, skills. I want it to achieve carbon zero, the goals we've set ourselves already, and for it to be biodiverse and sustainable, in terms of growth and the way we go about our daily lives. And at the end of the day, I want the region to get its fair share. So I want levelling up to have impact and to be delivered, because at the moment, I do feel the region's been underrepresented and hasn't had the funding it should have done. And then in terms of what I want, where I would want to see what my sort of ambition is for all of us, just in terms of for all of us who live in the region, it's quite simple really. I just want everyone to be able to live in a home they can afford. It's not a big ask, you wouldn't think, but that today is a real challenge for many of us. And I'd like that home to be a low carbon home as well. I'd like the communities that we live in to be sustainable. And I'd like all of us to be able to live on a salary that supports our family life and well-being allows us really to enjoy our life here as well.
And that you mentioned there, then, have you seen that change then in your lifetime? You know, we seem to be in a very different financial world now. You know, I look at myself, you know, from when I was in my early 20s, you know, people seem to be struggling much more, don't they, in all sorts of areas.
Yeah. No, it does really worry me when I think back to where I was in my 20s. It was, you know, buying my first flat was within reach. It was a bit of a stretch and you had to save up for the deposit, but, you know, it was, you know, the mortgage wasn't going to cripple me, and there was at least, you know, there were houses available to buy, and I do think, you know, that generation now, chances of them being able to afford their own home, I think, are really looking very slim at the moment.
When we talk about levelling up, this seems to a little bit come and go in the news, but it is at the core, isn't it, of the mayor role.
Yeah.
What is levelling up for those that maybe don't know the full details?
So levelling up should deliver what the region needs and to bring it back in line with the rest of the country where it's fallen behind. So when we're looking at the sums of money that are invested in things like our key services, our hospitals, our transport, we should be getting our fair share. And North Yorkshire and York haven't really had that for some time now, and they do need a champion who's going to fight their cause and make sure their needs are heard and understood, and that funding comes through.
And that, I think you touched on a big part of the role. I think there's a lot talked about. Well, it will attract 530 million, I think, over 30 years. Is that's right? But arguably a bigger sum of money is the money that the mayor will sort of generate just by being the ambassador of the county.
Agreed. Yes, it sounds like a large sum, but £18 million a year across such a large region isn't really going to make enough tangible benefit in its own. So it's really, really important to understand that fund could be used as a seed fund, you know, to attract other funds and more investment from other areas. But you're right, the role of the mayor is there to pull in funding from outside of the region completely, and to really champion and fight York and North Yorkshire's corner to get it.
And I think at the moment, like as we sort of spoke about before we chatted, you know, on the video, there isn't a tremendous focus from the public. You know, news-wise, we're not seeing a huge pickup yet, but we want people to pay attention to this. How are you kind of going about that, like with your campaigning? How are you kind of engaging and connecting with people so that they can find out about you?
So at the moment I'm spending a lot of time visiting organisations and groups and campaign groups which all have sort of particular interests and aspirations for the region and might feel their voices haven't been heard or, you know, haven't been represented properly, to really get a good understanding of what the region needs and where the gaps are, because that's really what the mayor does is identify the gaps and deliver change by filling those gaps, however that might be.
So you mentioned about the vision, and it's very important to have a vision. And it's difficult, you know, when you're just campaigning, you're not fully in post yet, to have the full sort of strategy of how you're going to deliver that. But I know you've put some thought into how you are going to deliver your vision. Could you just explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So you're right. It's do you mind if I just start, or do you want to see your question again?
It doesn't. I can't edit it because otherwise it.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just.
Because I think you can edit certain bits, but if you ask a question then have an edit.
Yeah.
It's like me saying to you, you know, which is the best news outlet, and then me saying, can you just say Harrogate? Or, you know, so it looks suspicious. It's like the old cliche with the clock in the background, you know, going. I don't know what that was. Are you okay? So
I'm absolutely fine. Sorry.
So you mentioned about a vision, and that's obviously very important, you know, to set where you want the county to go. But I know you've also got an outline kind of strategy, haven't you, of how you're going to deliver that vision. Could you just give us some brief details of how you will deliver that vision?
Yeah. So what I've done is identify what I call my 7 key deliverables, and those deliverables are headlines where I will set out below them all the actions that can then deliver my vision. So they are headline items such as sustainable economic growth, greener and cheaper energy, safer and stronger communities. That, those type of headlines where I feel the mayor can really make a difference. And then running alongside that, there are two kind of levels, two additional levels really, where as mayor, we've talked before about me being a champion for the region, but it's also the mayor needs to be reaching out beyond the region to work with our neighbours, because we are part of a larger northern region and we need to take advantage of all the funding opportunities, the skills, and the opportunity to work together with the others. And then in addition to that, much closer to home, we also have a fantastic network of voluntary and charitable organisations that deliver great good at the moment, but sometimes aren't always able to deliver what they need to in a joined up way. And again, it's closer to home, but that's where the mayor needs to identify the gaps and deliver the difference.
So we've talked about quite a lot of areas, but are there areas, the things that you want to talk about that you feel that we've not touched on this conversation?
Well, I think what troubles me at the moment is that people feel a little disengaged with politics at the moment, and they have my every sympathy. I can see why. And what worries me is that because of that negativity surrounding this election, people aren't going to really consider it properly, and perhaps won't vote at all. Turnout could be very low. It sometimes is, and I just really want to get the message across that this is very important to the region to get this decision right and to appoint the right person and to really engage with all the opportunities that this appointment creates, because this really is a great chance for the region.